Holiday survival. Awesome tips with Health IQ. Are you feeling overwhelmed by the holiday hustle and bustle? Join us as we share tips to help you navigate the season with ease and joy.
We are at that time of year when everyone's trying to squeeze in a party to show off their decorations. The organizations are trying to push all their last minute fundraisers, and there are some fun events to attend, many of them out of town as well. If you have kids, there's like basketball, and I mean it's like every night, or other sports, and you're also trying to balance school activities because there's always the Christmas play or the Christmas musical. So today I thought we would share some of our personal holiday survival tips.
Okay.
So joining me at the table today is Rochelle Moon and Joyce Runyon, who is doing double duty as our crew. Our camera operator is Bobby Hockaday, and I am Brenda Bishop, and we hope you enjoy our episode to maybe cut some of your holiday stress. I know that often we talk about holiday stress when we talk about challenges with families and increase in violence and those kinds of things as one of the triggers. But also stress increases our health problems. Yeah. And so we really need to find ways to make the holidays enjoyable for us and for everyone. And so I thought, well, what brings some of the most stress to families, and what can we do to change that? So I thought we'd start with finances, because that's always a big one.
Yes.
And so what are some of your tips for managing that Christmas financial crunch?
So something that I do is that I actually buy gifts all year long, so that I'm not like, oh no, it's November, I've got to buy everything and get it in the mail, because my kids are all somewhere else. So and even when we were military and we were stationed somewhere else, I was still mailing packages. And, you know, when you're mailing stuff, that adds stuff to your costs as well, because you don't want to get something big and heavy and bulky. You want something that will travel through the postal service with ease and at a lesser amount. So that's something that I do. I just see something and I say, oh, my girl would like this, so I get it and I put it back. Or if I'm going to do a specific larger item gift, maybe an appliance or something, that I say appliance, like a kitchen, a toaster or something like that for them, that I get those things well. And just whenever I see it on sale, then if I know I'm going to buy that item, then I can say, oh, this is on sale now and it's a really good price, so I'm going to get it and know that I'm doing that for Christmas. The problem is that sometimes I hide them too well. I don't have to do that anymore because nobody's at home.
You forget.
That I'm like, where did I put that thing?
Or you forgot what you purchased and purchased something else. I have done that.
Yeah.
I think something I do is, all these huge sales come around like November-ish, and you really get tempted to say, wow, that's a really good deal on whatever it is, and buy it and think, surely I'll give this to someone. I've learned to not give in to the pressure. Don't give in to the pressure that just because you think something is a good deal does not mean it's a good deal for you.
That's right.
True.
And so not getting pressured into just because something is $5 or $10 or whatever.
Last year I bought some things at a craft sale thinking, oh, I might give these to somebody, and they're still sitting on my shelf. I haven't given them yet. So I can see that too, but they were cute.
Yeah. There's still potential that they'll find a home.
Yes. So one of the things that we do, and it's so funny because we do shop at a warehouse store sometimes that gives us reward points, and every time you go, do you want to use your report? Nope, we're saving them for Christmas, and the clerks are looking at us like, what? But we save our credit card reward points, our any kind of reward points that we have, and we use those at Christmas time to bring down the food costs for Christmas or the last minute gift costs for Christmas. Because I'll tell you, the pressure for stocking stuffers when my kids were little, that was as much pressure as actually finding them a good gift.
I was going to say, and expense.
Oh,
Sometimes
yes.
stocking
Yeah.
stuffers can be
Really.
And,
very
ours were
expensive.
pretty lame, but now they're a joke.
Oh.
So now it's like, oh, we got to have that toothpaste for everybody.
Yeah.
So everybody has a stocking with toothpaste and a toothbrush now. But, you know.
Well, one
I'm
of the,
going to steal that for my stocking.
one of the things we've done with stockings as a family is we assign each family to get one item for everyone's stocking.
Oh, wow.
So they are just assigned to one thing. So whether it is a pack of toothbrushes or, since you said that,
Yeah.
or whatever, they get the one thing, you know, and everyone gets the one thing. So
Well, that's nice. I like
it
that.
makes it
I think
a
another
little
thing,
less on the hosts of the stockings.
the larger families that I've seen, sometimes they'll just draw names. And so you're just
Yes.
responsible for that one name instead of 25 gifts for everybody there,
Right.
which
We've
is
done
also
that
another
as well.
cost saver.
Oh, and it does. Now, when you have little kids, that's a little
Yes.
harder, but you could draw amongst the adults, and that works really well.
Or just get for the kids, which we have actually did that last year.
Yeah.
We just got for the kids because really what we want to see is the kids.
And see them opening stuff and being
Yes.
happy about that. Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's really tempting. I know when my kids were little, between my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law, they would get 10 gifts each from them. Well, the kids can enjoy those gifts. I'd rather see a gift come throughout the year as a mom than have that many gifts
At one time.
piled on at one time. So, and kids, you know, they outgrow toys pretty quickly.
Yes, they do. Or
And-
break them.
Or break
whatever
them,
else.
yes. So maybe tailoring back on
Yeah.
those gifts and saving that money for some time. As my kids got older, one of the things we did in, you know, Santa Claus no longer brought a toy or something big. Santa Claus brought a family game, and we played the game on Christmas afternoon of whatever Santa Claus brought.
Well, that's a good idea. I like the idea of a game.
Me too.
I was a bad mom, and I just always told him up front, sorry, he's a nice guy, but he's not real. So we never had anything from Santa.
Well, and we never did big gifts from Santa because I always felt bad for the kids when you go to school and then all
Oh, yeah.
the, you know, what
Santa
about the
brought
kids
me-
who couldn't get the bike from Santa?
Yeah.
You know, so,
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that.
and so our Santa was always smaller things, but then it just became a game that the whole family played. And we still get games, but they're not from Santa anymore.
That's Santa. He ran
He
out.
retired.
I actually find it harder to find gifts for my kids now that they're older than when they were younger, because you're just like, oh, well,
Yeah.
everything they want, they know better how to buy than what I would know. And
Which they honestly probably appreciate getting maybe some money
Yeah.
more than they would appreciate.
we
getting a
actually
gift.
did that last year,
So,
one little
yeah.
gift and some money, you know.
Yeah.
And
That's what adults really want.
that was a lot easier
They really just
shopping
want some cash.
than the other, but
Yeah.
so that relieved a lot of stress. But it's still stressful to even think of that one little gift sometimes. And so I actually, you know, I'm a list maker. So I keep a running list in my phone of ideas when people pop up and say, you know, I'd like to have that. That's really cool. I'll put that in my phone. So then if I need an idea, I have an idea.
That's when you can compare those sales to what's actually on your list.
Yep.
So it's really
good
hard
idea.
to find my husband something sometimes that I actually could pick out that he would like. So that's when I started doing that. So, and then hope that he doesn't buy them for himself before then.
Yeah.
So I really think it's important that we budget. And when we were young, and we were buying for all the family members of both sides of the family, I would actually try to budget less than $10 per gift for everybody. And a lot of times I could do that because I would make the gifts. And I actually know a family that they did a whole Christmas where everything had to be handmade. It could be, you could write a poem,
Sounds like
you could make something, or you could make something, you could paint something, you could.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful sentiment.
Yeah.
It's a nice idea, but I can see people at, Christmas
That
Eve.
might add stress to some of us.
Well, and I have several gifts that my sister or my nephew have made me over the years too. So, and those are treasured things.
Yeah, they really are more special. There's a lot of thought that I think I would have to put into what I'm doing.
So it could be
And
too
time.
stressful.
Yeah. So speaking of time, I think that's one of our tips.
Oh yes, time. Oh my gosh, time. So, how do you manage time through the holidays? How do you get to all those things?
I think you have to prioritize what you really want to do. What are your top priorities for things you want to attend or things you want to experience? And you have to say no to some things sometimes, even some things that sound good or are good. So,
Well, I've had to do that a lot over the years. And being remote rural, that as we travel, especially as kids got into high school as sports,
Yeah.
and you were traveling to all these other communities, that really cut into your time. So it didn't give you the time to go be in the Christmas musical or to
Participate in some other things.
right, to go to maybe the home tours or some of the things that are really fun
right.
that we used to do when the kids were little or before kids. Or one thing that in my family, I had a son whose birthday was at the beginning of Christmas. So I chose not to decorate until after his birthday.
Yeah.
And so our decorations when the kids were little and everybody helped were really simple, but as they got older and we got busier, decorations became very minor to like just a really nice tree and a nativity and maybe something on the table.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
some people that really can do it up and do wonderful, full, beautiful decorations. But I'm the same way. Mine are more minimal because, that's not where I want to spend my time.
Yeah, and I've always felt that Halloween was way too much pressure. So, and Christmas decorating is a lot of pressure too, and I
It
just
is.
don't want to be there.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have been. I haven't done it lately since nobody's at home, but I don't know how many trees I have, and we'd always get an ornament, and those were just some of the things that we did for my kids growing up. And now the intent with getting them an ornament was that when they were on their own and in their own places, they would have those ornaments to start off their Christmas thing. So that's something I need to start sorting out and sending in the mail. Maybe I'll include one of those with their package.
Yeah.
So time management for me, since I have to mail things, I always have to see, all right, if I wanted to get there at a reasonable time, when do I have to do that? And then I work backwards from that. So I need to have everything that I'm going to send. I need to have it all wrapped. I need to have the boxes to put it in, and then I actually need to send it off. So that's another time management thing that I have to do just because all of my things are traveling somewhere else.
Can't wait until the last minute.
No.
Yeah. So we also had to haul our presents when the kids were younger. And so I stopped worrying about the fancy packages, I knew how to make fancy bows and put on a package, but packages just got wrapped because really little kids only care about unwrapping. They don't care about bows. And even now, our packages very seldom have a bow on them. They are just wrapped and under the tree because that's just too much time.
Yes, I agree with you on that. And I used to code my packages so that they didn't know whose was whose because that was also an issue at my home that, this has my name on it. And so.
Oh, yes. Oh, we definitely had that as well. And sometimes they did get mixed up when they were unwrapping because they were the same size box or something. But I see so many really pretty packages, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's just like too much time. And a lot of times I was wrapping on the night before.
Yeah. When they were home, I was, because you couldn't put them out too soon.
Yes.
Because it was a mess. And then all the extra pretties on a package just wind up in the trash.
And that's
it's
an expense.
Yes. Yeah.
So then when you're looking there at expenses, that after Christmas sale.
For your wrapping paper.
And I did do, when we were in Albuquerque one year, my sister and I did go to the day after sales. I said, never again. I also went Black Friday shopping once and said, never again. But sometimes you can go a couple days later and they still have wrapping paper and bows or whatever. So if you could do that, sometimes some decorations. I even found stuff online year before last, after Christmas for less, and then was able to order it as a gift for the next year. So something to keep in mind after Christmas.
As long as you remember where you put it.
Well, now I can remember because I don't have to hide it.
Yeah, I have a spot now, but you didn't then. So always, I think we said budgeting and all that is important, but remembering trying not to use your credit cards too much because that interest rate will eat you up, and it's really hard to.
Yeah.
So one thing that you can do is save ahead.
Right.
And put so much money away ahead of time.
Specifically for
Christmas. And even some, like, I'm pretty sure the credit union, maybe some other banks have Christmas accounts where you can put $25 a month in, or $30, whatever you set, and have a little savings account set up just for Christmas.
And then that is your budget.
Yes.
So if you're going to do that, make sure that that's what you stick to.
But it's a good way to avoid interest rates.
Yeah.
And making all your gifts cost more. So meals are another huge stressor.
Yes.
For families.
They can be.
And so I am a planner and a list maker, but you would plan ahead, and I would have freezer meals, basically meals that were already made, casseroles, in the freezer. And I would actually start my Christmas baking in September when I was baking for other things as well. And I'd have all my that kind of stuff, cookies for cookie trays to go to people, sweetbreads, everything in the freezer ready to go. And that saved a lot of time during that stressful holiday. Plus, when you never know when you have something to go to.
Yeah.
And it's like, we got to do this.
What am I going to take?
And so if you had, I even used to have whole cakes in the freezer. And,
oh my goodness. I don't know how you did all that. I know your schedule for work, and I am just amazed that you got all this stuff done.
I would spend my weekends cooking.
I guess so.
When I could, when I had the stamina to do that.
Wow.
And it was like, I would plan it on Friday and shop for it and cook it on Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
And we would have food for a week, and I would have extras.
Wow. Well, you are organized.
She's amazing.
Which one thing I've done to help with meals for holidays is I've had each family, because now all my kids are grown, I've had each family plan a meal for a while we're together.
Oh, what a great idea.
And so then, I sometimes
they can
help get the
showcase.
ingredients, but they are in charge of that meal. And then, usually 2 of the other meals of the day are very, very simple sandwiches or just easy breakfast. But I have each family plan a meal, and that's been really helpful. And they're in charge.
Yeah.
They're in the kitchen. They're the ones that are responsible for that.
Well, I think that would make them feel really good about being able to be a part of the celebration, and maybe highlight, this is a new recipe I tried and I love it, and now you'll love it too. And so that's a really good idea.
So that's been nice on the host and the hostess.
Yeah. Well, we've just really downsized. our meals because it's just the two of us now, and I really like that.
Yeah, really.
And sometimes we just go and eat somewhere else.
Right.
It's a good day.
Yeah.
I've
So-
talked to another minister's wife one time, and they would actually go, unless Christmas was on Sunday, go out of town for Christmas, spend the night somewhere, and eat at a restaurant.
How fun. That sounds
I mean,
great.
They were older, and their kids were in
Yeah,
other
all
places,
grown.
and they'd sent
Yeah.
everything, and that was their special Christmas to themselves.
How nice.
So, when my mother-in-law was no longer able to start or to prepare the holiday meal, and I'd always took dishes, but she was no longer to be the host. I started trying to replicate her meals,
Wow.
plus add some of my family favorites. And it was okay if you had 14, 15 people,
Yeah.
but it was a killer. And then I
Big
have
job.
a
Huge
food
job.
safety thing myself. So, things had to be cooked that day and
Yeah.
not be on counters for long times.
Yeah,
and
for the whole day.
things
and-
like that. And it helped because we would have 2 kitchens, but still, it was really, really hard to get all that accomplished. And eat at an early hour for those who had diabetes. Because she would, to them, Christmas was 3 meats.
Oh my.
And all the sides that
Wow.
went with 3 meats. And several kinds of pies and several kinds of salad and deviled eggs. And I mean, it just went on and on and on. And the list
Oh,
just
my
got
goodness.
crazier and crazier and crazier. And so after I was no longer feeding that kind of family, and even with that, we had leftovers for weeks.
Yeah,
and
I
you really
imagine.
get tired of that.
And you shouldn't have leftovers that long. I'm sorry.
No, but I would freeze them and pull them
Yeah.
back out. But I've started tailoring down, and then we're down sometimes to 4 or 5 of us, and so it's like, okay, if you want turkey or ham, we're gonna turkey and ham. We're gonna vote, or we're gonna draw, and we'll
right.
have one for Thanksgiving and one for Christmas. Well, or we'll do something really different, and then we divide up all those sides that everybody wants. So everybody has something favorite for each meal, but we don't have them both.
Yeah.
And it has really cut down.
Oh, I can only imagine.
But before, even before when we started, just doing our traditional stuff that everybody liked, I did some things that really my mom would cringe, but we used box stuffing. And it's not that I didn't know how to make stuffing,
but
there was only 2 people at our table who liked stuffing.
exactly. Exactly.
And if you make real stuffing, it makes a big pan. Box stuffing's not too bad.
It's really not. It's really
And it
not.
only takes 5 minutes. So there's things like that we would do. I would also plan my menu with times things go in the oven, when we start prepping, when things go in, what temperature, and who was in charge of what. Because I cooked to a certain point, and then I would leave to go take a shower and get dressed. And then it was up to everybody else to get the food out of the ovens.
to finish it off.
Finish the last dishes, mash the potatoes or whatever, and get them on there. It was hard for me to do that, but it worked, especially as the kids got older.
Yeah.
Your job was sort of based on your ability.
Yep.
But it really paid off the year I was hurt.
Oh, I
They had to
bet.
cook the whole meal themselves.
I bet that's right.
So, those are some things, let others pitch in, but, make sure.
And it's good to talk about your menu because what you think might be a holiday
Right.
classic may not really be what they think is the holiday classic. So I know for our family, we only do mashed potatoes for the holidays. And so mashed potatoes and gravy is something that they think we need to have. And other people have mashed potatoes and gravy all the time.
Right.
So,
Ours would be stuffing.
yep.
Or, but yes. So there's, things like that. And We really the same way with pies. We have one pie. We eat the one pie. If we want to do pie later on during the holidays, we'll make another pie, but we only
Yeah.
have one pie. Because,
You don't need more than one.
and then where are you going to put all that pie?
Yes.
So there's all kinds of things you could do to really lighten your load and not have to make that that whole thing. And, you know, the tradition things, sometimes we can change tradition.
And then if you're grumpy in the kitchen, it's not going to make a good meal when you sit down.
That's right.
So,
Or I remember my grandmother, she would cook all day so long that by lunchtime, she was exhausted. She would just sit down and be so tired. And I thought, oh, I don't want that to be me. I can't even stand up after that
Oh, yeah.
because it can make for a very long day.
And at my house growing up, my mom often worked a lot right there at Christmas time. So our meals were nice, but they were a lot simpler.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how I grew up. And they were fancier foods, but maybe, and you know, maybe they were things that we could all help do. So, do you all have meal tips? Other meal tips? I think you have a sheet pan idea.
Oh, so I just have for holidays, I make a sheet pan of roasted vegetables. Just, asparagus, eggplant,
whatever catches your
mushrooms,
eye.
some onion, a little garlic, and just a little bit of olive oil, and it's a little salt and pepper. Yeah, it makes for a great side dish that's a healthy option for most people that are willing to eat vegetables.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what do you have a favorite holiday dish?
For us, especially for Christmas, I would always have something ready for breakfast to go in the morning, either like an egg crock pot dish or like a French toast that was in the refrigerator that we could put in the oven, and then while we're opening presents, that's cooking, and then we have something to eat right away. And so the lunch, the big meal, whenever that happened later, wasn't like, oh, I'm starving now and we've got to do this. And so that was just a way to alleviate everybody's hunger, to have the fun opening the presents and spending some time together, and then look at the meal after that and have some of those things already ready to go too.
As our kids got older, we have changed all those things. And, we used to always eat at 1 so that we could go out and do something outside or, have time to play games or whatever, and be cleaned up, and you could go have a snack later. But now sometimes due to schedules, we can't eat till later. So that was a real challenge for us last year, not eating until 6. So we had a really light Christmas meal because who wants to eat a bunch of food at 6? But I had started a thing when the kids were little about making monkey bread for Christmas morning, and that was like a special treat because monkey bread's not that good for you, but I'm sure it tastes good. But then, as we got older, we sort of switched it to that breakfast casserole so that it could go in the oven when the pie's baking.
Always got something else going. That's what I'm finding out.
And it was, lower carbs, a little higher protein type thing to sustain us until we get to that next thing. But so one of my kids' favorites is honey rolls, and I always like to make homemade bread.
And it's good.
And homemade bread, I like to make the day of, so it's nice and warm still, but that doesn't always happen. But honey rolls, you start in a bread machine and then you finish in your oven. And that was always a family favorite for Christmas. And that's our Thanksgiving. We do it once a year now. So there was that. And then my family loves a broccoli rice casserole that I had created.
And it's good.
Yes.
I also love it.
That we usually have just once a year because it's high in carbs, maybe sometimes twice.
Yeah.
But those recipes I will actually share on our in our blog and on our thing. But and Rochelle can share hers, and I'm sure Joyce
So I do
has
have
the recipe.
one more, if we have time, one more small food tradition that we do is on Christmas Eve night. My daughter always makes hot cocoa for all the little kids in the family. I have 7 grandkids right now. And she makes hot cocoa for them. And we put whipped topping on it and we put sprinkles on it. And they just think that's what Christmas is about. So if you need a cheap, easy, very low stress option for bringing holidays to children, I think that's a pretty good one.
For anybody.
Yeah.
I would take a cup of hot cocoa like that.
Well, we had so much more to talk about with healthy habits and self-care, but we want to remind people to make sure you're still exercising, you're drinking
Yes.
plenty of water during the holidays.
Yes.
Maybe
Limit
switch
your alcohol if you can,
Yes.
to mocktails, maybe, or something like that.
for lots of reasons. You know, the calories alone
Yes.
can be shocking.
And be realistic and make sure you
Yes.
take some time for yourself, but set realistic goals, things that you can accomplish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had so many things, but boy, we could just go on and on. But we need to get to our food for thought. And so our food for thought we chose is, we do not have to continue holiday traditions that leave us broke, overwhelmed, and tired. And that's from Rachel Jonnet. And that makes me think of those big meals or all those Christmas decorations.
All the presents. You don't need
All the
all the
presents.
presents.
Yeah.
But set your own new holiday traditions that are less stressful.
Yeah, I would say try to remember the things that were meaningful to you when you were a child, and what do you really remember that was special during the holidays. And it's
Yeah.
probably not a giant fancy tradition. So
Well, and it's really knowing what Christmas means to you and celebrating those things. And it's not really about the presents or the tinsel or the trees and all the glittering stuff. It's about things that are more enduring and more important with the people that you love.
Yes.
So,
Yes. So we thank you all for joining us for this episode. We hope that you heard a practical tip to make your holidays more enjoyable and less stressful. And be sure to come back as we have more end of the year episodes coming up. And I know one that you'll really enjoy.
Special thanks to our guest contributors for this episode, Joyce Runyon, Quay County Health Council Assistant Coordinator, and Rochelle Moon, Partnership Addressing Substance Struggles Coordinator. Our host for this episode was Brenda Bishop, Quay County Health Council Coordinator. Cool thanks to Gordon Runyon, our locations manager, for keeping us chill. Health IQ podcast crew. Our director was Robert F. Hockaday. Our producers are Robert F. Hockaday and Joyce Runyon. Our camera operator, Robert F. Hockaday. Our second camera assistant, Joyce Runyon. This episode was edited by Robert F. Hockaday. Credit music was provided by David Morris. Funding for Health IQ provided by a New Mexico Better Together grant. Brought to you by the Quay County Health Council. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Quay County Health. If you have any content ideas, reach out to us by email, healthIQpodcast@gmail.com. More info about this topic and more available on our Health IQ blog, QCHEALTHCO.UNCIL.org.
This podcast was created solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for advice from a healthcare or mental health professional.